Hello and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Human podcast. I'm Coach Kara.
And I'm Coach Lauren. So on this podcast, we talk about a couple things. We talk about the 5 factors of health, which is movement, nutrition, we've got connection, mindset, rest, and recovery. Today, what are we going to talk about?
We're talking about pregnancy, hormones, and habits because I'm pregnant and I'm going through all the hormones and changing my habits.
All the habits are being changed.
So we'll dive into that.
It'll be a fun topic.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah. Well, how are you doing today? What's the update?
I'm doing well. I think my update now is just like, okay, what are my new symptoms? And then how big is the baby? So I just looked and he is the size of an onion this week, a large onion.
I love it.
Which is cute. And then my symptoms this week is that my morning sickness came back.
I know.
Which has been really not fun. Week 17, I really thought that I was like out of it. And then yesterday, showed up to work, threw up once, and then just went on with my day.
You did pretty great the rest of the time. I was in that class like right afterwards.
Yeah.
You seemed with it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I think the funny thing about morning sickness is that if you don't get it out, like if you don't like throw up, sorry to anyone that doesn't like hearing about this.
This is life.
You feel sick all day, but if you do throw up, you actually feel better. So after it happened, I was like, I'm good to just go on with the rest of this day now.
Honestly, that's how it seems. Like you just throw up and then you just keep going.
Yeah, you just move on.
And then didn't you learn a week or two ago that you can't be drinking as much coffee as you were? Or what's your idea with that? Because we love coffee. We live on coffee here.
Yeah, I do. I would say pre-pregnancy, I was probably drinking like 400 milligrams of caffeine a day, which is like 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah. I know you'd always have like your little like espresso and ice, especially in the summer.
Yes, I love it. I love my espresso machine. But when I first saw my doctor and we went over all the like do's and don'ts with nutrition during pregnancy, I wasn't liking coffee because I was having morning sickness and it was kind of like an aversion I was having. So she was like, yeah, I only want you to drink it like once or twice a week. And I was like, well, that's fine because I'm not drinking it at all right now. Okay, so I forgot about that conversation. And once I wanted coffee again, I started drinking my 1 coffee every day.
I've heard of that. I heard you could have 1 coffee a day from somebody.
Which every doctor is like different in what they recommend. Some doctors don't even care about caffeine. Some really care about it. But when I went back to my doctor 2 weeks ago, Alfred was like, hey, how much caffeine should she be drinking? And my doctor was like, oh, 1 time a week, if that. Like 1 coffee a week, if that.
I love that Alfred asked, not you.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And then Alfred's like, she's been drinking 2 coffees a day, every day. I'm like, first of all, that's not true. I was like, I've been having 1 every day.
Wow.
Don't throw me under the bus.
He's like, that's my baby.
Yeah. So it was funny. So we talked about it and she's like, it's fine. She's like, at this point, just like cut back on it. And I'm also having acid reflux right now, which coffee is not helping with that.
Acid reflux?
No, not until I've been pregnant.
Like, what is that even? Does it feel like burning? You're just burping?
Yeah, so after I would eat a meal, my stomach felt like it was on fire, and then I could feel the food like in my throat.
Yeah,
but I went on medicine twice a day, and it's helped so much. But you have to avoid like acidic and spicy foods. Okay. So coffee's really acidic. So that's been
literally
sad,
what I live on is like coffee and spicy food.
Yeah. But I cut it out again, and now I'm doing like decaf coffee some days. But I actually feel better not drinking coffee.
Oh, there you
Shocking,
go.
not drinking caffeine.
You know, sometimes you need to take a break.
You should feel better. Yeah. But
it's like my 1 supplement I use.
Yeah. I know that's like my pre-workout.
That is my pre-workout.
Is coffee. But you
I
just
don't do
kind
the
of
pre-workout stuff that you all do. It's like it freaks me out.
If my skin starts tingling, I'm not here for it.
I've had like pre-workout where it gives me like crazy anxiety and I'm shaking and it just doesn't feel great. So,
it's crazy. But enough about me. How's your week been?
It's been good. It's been busy. I have a couple things like work projects coming up, getting ready for the running workshop. That'll be this Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I have a marathon on Sunday.
What?
So so I just have like, it's just next from one thing to the next.
Which marathon is it?
It's called Mountains to Beach. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One I've already planned. Yeah.
Aww.
So it just feels like a big week. There's a lot of different prep pieces going on, but all really good things.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the weather's been amazing. It feels like summer.
It's been so nice.
I am like ready. I'm like, okay, get outside every day. I didn't get outside yet today. So I was like, I'll maybe go on a little walk after this.
Yeah.
So
Coach Drew came up to me the other day and said, what fake tan brand does Lauren use? And I said, first of all, are you saying that because I'm pale and I need to ask her, or are you actually curious? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's marathon training.
Yeah.
That's not
Being outside
her
every
putting
day.
a tan on.
Oh my gosh.
You
wanna
have the best
Do you
tan,
want to
though.
see my shorts tan line? I'm not going to show it to the camera, but yeah.
Do you have like that straight cut line?
Oh yeah, I have a straight cut line in my thigh and then at my ankles.
Those are
I
the
got really
best.
pale feet, but whatever. That's really funny. I remember because I'm from Indiana, so people are like, I think it's from my dad. There's like he's French, but I've had people in Indiana because I'm like always was the tannest kid, and they're like. People would spread rumors like, oh, she must do the self tanner
Yeah,
stuff,
like a
and I'm
spray
like,
tan or
you'll
something.
know when someone does self tan because they're like a little bit more orange.
Yeah. No, you look great. You look like you were sun kissed.
Yeah, just in the sun. So there you go. Get outside. Get your vitamin D, people. So, okay. Well, let's get into our topic for today. I was thinking of when we talked this podcast for today was Tia Clara Toomey.
Yeah.
When she was pregnant, she was literally doing handstand walks. She was lifting crazy weights over her head. So there's like a lot of controversy about working out and being pregnant.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a lot of people who have been like having that conversation of like, what does it mean to be in fitness while pregnant? And then of course, after pregnancy, when it comes to CrossFit and when it comes to just an athlete as a whole. But I'd love to hear a little bit of like your process of being an athlete, being a coach, like, during pregnancy, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Tia is a really good example of someone that like we'll start with this. It's like the main thing was that whenever I first found out I was pregnant, and honestly before I was pregnant, my goal was always to be able to move throughout the whole pregnancy as long as I was like everything was safe with the baby and I was able to. So that was literally the first thing I talked about with my doctor at my first appointment. Was like, okay, what does exercise look like now? And something else that was really important to me was like pelvic floor therapy and making sure, which is like kind of all becoming the rage
way more
now,
common.
and, which is great because not taking care of your pelvic floor leads a lot of women to injury when they try to jump back into exercising after having baby. So like those two things were like the most important to me and like non-negotiables of like, I want to exercise and I want to work with a PT on my pelvic floor during pregnancy. So after I spoke with my doctor, she was very here for exercise during, which is good to find a doctor that like advocates for that because there are still a lot of doctors that don't, and they'll tell you like, no, you really shouldn't do anything. Like they're like, go for walks. Walks are great for you. But for me, coming from a pretty like athletic background,
you're always working out.
Yeah, I want to try to like still maintain like my muscle mass and strength throughout pregnancy. So just want to do it safely. So my OB approved of me to keep doing like the CrossFit style training that I do. And then it was actually my pelvic floor therapist, Dr. Sophie, who was the one who started like scaling me back on certain movements just to make sure that I was able to have core engagement and not see any of that like separation of my abdomen. Because that's where pelvic floor therapy is really important. It's trying to help you with diastasis recti. Yeah, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, sounds great.
But the ab separation is what can cause a lot of problems later on with like back pain and injury. So she's the one that started like dialing me back on certain movements like kipping, and there's no point in going upside down at this point. Like I can, but why? So with her and then along with Drew, who programs for me, we kind of put together a plan of like what I want, what my goals were throughout pregnancy, and then what my training plan would look like. And with all of those things together, I feel like I've been in a really good groove for the past like, since I started feeling better out of my first trimester, so that's basically the past like 6 weeks, I feel like I've been able to get in a really good rhythm of training and feeling just like strong.
For your first trimester, what was working out looking like for you?
So I had actually like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, we traveled for 2 weeks. So I think that was really good because I was not feeling very well during that time. So I didn't exercise at all, but we were walking around Asia. So I was getting like, I don't know, 20,000 steps a day basically. And then when I came back, I tried to like jump back into my training as if I wasn't pregnant, and I would get like sick while I was like rowing, or if I was just lifting heavy, I just wouldn't feel good. I'd feel lightheaded. So I realized that that's when I had to like dial back. And Drew and I had a conversation around what my goals were going into this journey.
That was probably really helpful. What were some of the goals that you changed?
Yeah. So, I mean, before everything was all about like competing in the open and making sure that I was ready to be a more like competitive CrossFit athlete. And then the goals that I set for myself in this pregnancy were that I wanted to train at least 4 times a week for about like an hour to an hour and a half. I think right now I'm training about an hour and a half to 2 hours just because I do physical therapy as well. And then the second thing was that I wanted to maintain my strength as much as possible. And then I didn't want to have any back pain because that's been my kind of like my injury that I like allowed to identify with, right? Like
For sure.
I hurt my back a couple times throughout the year for the past couple years, which I'm not proud of, but my goal was in this pregnancy is to not have any back pain. So the funny thing is that once I got pregnant, my like hip mobility has improved so much.
Amazing. The
'Cause your hips
ligaments
start
are
to open.
loosening.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I can like squat and not have back pain right now. It's
So nice.
amazing. So my
The
PT,
benefits of pregnancy.
yeah, she was cracking up because I went in. She's like, your external rotation has like doubled how far your leg can go. She's like, this is so insane, but it's been really good for me to have that like support.
Yeah, that's so nice. And then I guess you're now in second trimester. Are you halfway through?
Almost. So I'm
Okay.
17 weeks today.
Okay, so second trimester, how has it changed?
My goals haven't really changed.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah, which I'm happy about. I think that it's hard right now to set goals because not that my goals were always like aesthetic before, it was more like competitive, but I really liked being lean and how I felt.
Yeah.
And so this has been a journey of like my training has less volume and then I'm not doing it at such a high intensity. And so sometimes after my workouts, I'm like, ugh, I don't feel like I went like as hard as I could have, or like, am I going to start putting on body fat now because I'm not training the same way?
Yeah.
But then I remind myself that like, right now is actually a really healthy time for me to put on a little bit more body fat than before. And it's actually going to help.
Yeah.
It's going to help me with my strength to just focus on staying strong. Like it's not going to be the most important thing to worry about what I look like. And that's been hard for me to overcome, but I know that it's all part of the journey of like having a baby and then like the comeback afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. It's like one step at a time. Because I'm guessing your goals are going to have to change as you go along.
Yeah. Which I think through the third trimester, like I still want to be able to train 4 times a week for about an hour and a half and then still maintain strength.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, we've gotten to see the privilege of like a couple of our pregnant athletes members here who have like worked out till like the week or 2 before they have their baby.
Yeah.
Which has been really inspiring to see.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's interesting watching our athletes come back postpartum.
Yes.
We've had 3 of them just in the past couple of months return back.
And then some moms maybe return within like after a year or 2 getting back.
Yes. And it's really crazy because you hear their stories of like some women, they get to like their strongest point during their pregnancy or like I've been the most consistent I've been. But then once you get to that like postpartum, or they call it like the 4th trimester, is those like 3 months postpartum, your body changes so much and all that strength you built during pregnancy could literally just go away.
Go away altogether.
Yeah, depending on how your like birth was, depending how you
Yep.
hold on to your weight, depending how you're eating. You know, if you're breastfeeding, you're gonna be eating in a calorie surplus, so you can expect like changes. And it's really interesting to like almost like have to mentally prepare for that. Like what happens is gonna be like out of your control for the most part.
So out of your control. And that's what I've seen is like women, I've had several conversations with different athletes who've been like, I did all the right things, but this thing still happened, or da-da-da. Like there's so many uncontrollable variables. I think your mindset is the only thing you really can control is how are you going to respond to maybe various outcomes that you can't control with your body because there's so many things going on.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've been reading a lot about women that have gone into their like labor with these really high expectations also of like, I expect to go unmedicated, no interventions, blah, 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 blah. And then something can happen where it's like, okay, no, now you have to have a C-section or it's so painful because you've never experienced it before that you do ask for an epidural. And there's a lot of like, they hold shame and guilt for themselves around like their plan not working out. And so I've tried to go through this whole process of having like 0 expectations, which is hard because I put a lot of expectations on myself. And I think that it's actually been really healthy for me because I'm not holding that many expectations for myself. Like if I get home from work and I am exhausted, I'm not one that used to take naps because I'm like, oh, naps are like for little kids. Why would I go home and take a nap? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go sleep for 2 hours because I don't feel good and I know that this is gonna be good for me and the baby.
Yeah.
So if me putting on like some extra pounds of body fat right now and not maintaining the strength that I really, really want to, like if it doesn't work out that way, I'm just trying to be like at peace with that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
for
hard,
sure.
but we're just doing our best
Yeah,
every day.
that's so good. I'd be curious of like pelvic floor therapy. Have you gotten to look much into that or
Yeah.
talk with your therapist about that?
Yeah, so I've been meeting with my PT since I think I was 12 weeks actually. So I was just entering my second trimester. And I see her every 2 to 3 weeks. And I swear my core is stronger now than it was before I got pregnant. Because I'm now like intentionally working on like core activation and really feeling different parts of my abdomen that I've never felt
That's
before.
amazing. It's like what we teach people of like, okay, feel your glutes or feel your hamstrings in this, or you should feel your scaps.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's all really, it's things that like her and I are doing them and I'm like, why was I not doing this before? Like, I think for women, whether you're pregnant or not, like working on having a strong pelvic floor / core,
Altogether is helpful.
it can help so much with injury prevention, especially with our back. And so I think working with Sophie has been like so eye-opening of like the importance of having a strong core. Yeah, it's funny because my husband, Alfred, he hurt his rib cage recently and he was having some back pain.
A little bit of everything going
just
on.
a little bit, sprinkle of everything. And him and I are actually doing really similar exercises. And I'm like, oh, these are things that like anyone can do. Men and women both have pelvic floors and we all experience like changes in our body as we age and go through different life experiences. And so it's really been impactful for me of like, okay, this is something that like we should all be doing and working on.
Yeah, that's so simple. Are there a couple like simple ones that you'd even be able to share here that you're like, oh, this has been helpful, or is it more like hard to explain?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say if you can think of pelvic floor therapy in any way, it's a lot of like planks and then diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay.
So I think that's why it's been helpful working one-on-one with someone, because holding a side plank is one thing, but understanding what part of your core you should actually be feeling is another thing.
And activating and
and
using.
how you're going to breathe and that kind of thing. So like, for example, when I first started with her, I was very like 6-pack dominant. So the center of my stomach was always the thing that was bracing. But when we think about our pelvic floor, we actually want to be working like the outer
The sides.
part of our core. Yeah. So that's where she's been able to help me of like pressing in on the area where we want to be feeling so I can press against it. And it's just like, yeah, it's been crazy. Like seeing how my core has changed, even as my stomach like gets bigger, I'm like, I have like more definition right now in my stomach when I flex than I did before, which is wild. So I'm thankful for Sophie and her like passion behind pelvic floor therapy so I can learn about it and then share that with my future clients that will have kids or.
Exactly. And it sounds like you'll be using this even post-pregnancy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
Yeah. So if you pee your pants when you do double unders or run, you should look into pelvic floor therapy.
Yeah, and you might do pelvic floor therapy and still pee your pants, and that's okay.
That's true.
It's
yeah,
like,
you might.
some of our members are like, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine. You know, like, let's do what you're able to do. So how has been like nutrition for you? How has it been like your body feeling overall in the past weeks?
Yeah. Nutrition was also a big change. I went from tracking my macros for the past like 4 years.
Yeah,
or
diligent.
3 years. Yeah.
Was it like the same meals overall every day?
I feel like I had some variety.
Yeah.
Some form of like beef and rice, but you know, we switch up the flavor.
Yes. But you're like, I ate the same thing for 4 years.
Yeah. So first trimester was a different story because I wasn't feeling well. So I was eating whatever just sounded good. And I was having a lot of like aversions to things.
Yeah.
But now I am no longer tracking, but I just eat similar to what I was eating before when I was tracking my food. I've definitely cut back on my carbohydrate intake just because I don't train the same way as before. But my goal with nutrition is just to eat as much fiber as possible, because like constipation is real during your first couple of months of pregnancy.
Yeah, get that fiber in.
Yeah, and then keeping my protein up too, because I just have to be really diligent about how much protein I eat, or else I don't get anywhere near the my like target goal, which is like my body weight.
I was gonna say same for all of us with protein. Is there a reason why you're not tracking? Is it just because you're like, okay, my body's changing so much, like, or is that like, is this something you would suggest for all pregnant women? Is like to track versus not track?
Yeah. So I stopped tracking because I wasn't feeling well in the first trimester, and I was being really hard on myself when I didn't get close, like even anywhere near the numbers that I had set on MyFitnessPal. And when that started happening, that's when I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to take a step back from tracking, because I don't want to be so numbers focused right now. I want to go off of like how I feel.
Your body.
Yeah. And for me, sometimes I can correlate those numbers with like my body composition, and I can't be worrying too much about my body composition right now.
Exactly.
So yeah, stopping tracking, I think, has actually been really healthy for me, because it's allowed me to be a little bit more intuitive with when I'm hungry. And then it's also allowed me to actually think about, okay, I don't think anymore about like, I have 30 grams of carbs, so I have to eat like a banana, or I have to eat pretzels or something really high carb and low fat. Now it's like, okay, if I do want a couple of chips here, or if I want an orange now, like I don't have to worry about the macros fitting. I'm just more worried about like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, making sure I'm hitting a good amount of protein and carbs. But other than that, yeah, it's been good to not track for me. I have a friend that is pregnant right now, and I know that she is tracking, and that's what works for her. So I don't think there's a right or wrong.
I was gonna say, I was like, I bet for some that really is helpful for them, and then others you're like, no, this is like, because it is. You have to be in like the right mindset for it, and it's whatever is gonna make you feel healthy in your body and for your baby.
Yeah,
is like most important. So
yeah, and then I think about like postpartum and what that will look like, and I think that I'll take it by ear, but like I can imagine that I will want to start tracking again at some point, just to make sure that I'm hitting the right targets and hitting whatever goal I do set for myself afterwards.
Yeah, because I'm guessing your eating will probably look a little different once you get into that compared to what it was before.
Totally.
And then as you're like ramping up and all that you're doing, because I know you'll want to get back into everything.
We'll try.
We'll try our best. You said you want to be the fittest mom, in the area, so.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
You'll do great. You'll do great.
Maybe I'll change that goal once I get there.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I am hearing is that mindset's a huge thing. Your mindset throughout all of this. What has been your mindset? How have you had a positive or tried to have a positive mindset when it comes to pregnancy and athletics, nutrition? It sounds like there's been a lot of changes you've had to make.
Yeah. Again, it was really just about like setting like low expectations for myself, because if I don't hit expectations for myself, I will be disappointed in the end. And I just don't think that now is like the time for that. So I guess when it came to mindset, what have I done?
This is like in real life. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Everything's been happening so quick.
Yeah. I think that so every like week or so for a couple of days, I will delete social media because I'm getting served so much content right now on pregnancy and things like that. And it's really not good for my like mental health to see certain things about people push their opinions very hard on social media about like what's right and what's wrong.
For women in pregnancy especially, it is very much like you do this or you're a bad person.
Yeah. And there's a lot of negativity around like the healthcare field with pregnancy, like that they're like the enemy to you when you're pregnant. Like they're always going to do what will make them more money, or they're going to do what's best for them. And I just don't want to think that way about this whole process. Like I really, really love like my doctor, and have for the most part like enjoyed my experience of being pregnant. So I don't want those like negative, what I see as negative things affecting me during this. So I will just delete social media every couple of days and just remember like I'm on my own journey. I have my own expectations for myself. Whether people agree with what I agree with in this process, like it doesn't matter. As long as me and my doctor are on like the same page, then that's all that matters. Yeah. I think that Alfred has also been like a huge part of me staying positive throughout this process, because he knows that I'm very quick to just jump into like a negative mindset about things. So he kind of grounds me of like, hey, just remember, like, you are making our son, and we're having a boy, by the way. I don't even know if I said that. And this process, like, isn't going to be easy, but we're going to expect changes, and it's not going to be like the best thing all the time, but we just need to stay positive about it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that I'm able to set goals and stay pretty on track with them. So as long as I can keep holding lower expectations for myself, I feel like the process has been pretty good for me
Like, it keeps you in
mentally.
a good mindset.
Yeah.
Because you're not just like, you need to hit this every day. Like you said, like when you were tracking, you're like, okay, I'm not hitting these numbers. Instead of being like, okay, I'm just going to keep trying. I suck, being a negative. You're like, no, we're just going to readjust this. Will be better for me and my body. And so, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And same goes for training too. Like on days when I'm not feeling well, I'll be real with myself and be like, okay, can I actually not do this today because I'm risking injury, or am I just feeling a little bit tired and unmotivated? And so the other day I was talking to Drew and I was like, I don't think that was yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I'm going to train today because I'm just not feeling well. And he's like, I think you'll feel better if you do it. And then tomorrow I have a rest day. So today I have a rest day. And I was like, okay, you're right. I was like, let me just like warm up and then see how I feel.
See how you feel.
As soon as I started moving, I felt better. So I was like, okay, I have the right people around me pushing me in a positive direction. So that's also really helped keep me grounded and have a positive mindset.
Which is perfect, because I'm like, there's so many times I go into workouts and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this. And then if I just kind of start moving or getting into it, then you feel so much better afterwards.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't imagine even more while pregnant, because you're tired or you don't feel good at times. And so having to kind of push through those feelings sometimes to be able to get to taking care of yourself.
Yeah. You just have to be very real with yourself on like what's going to help you and what will hurt you at the end.
Yeah. And only you can fully say that and know that.
Yeah.
So, that's good. This is fun. And then with post-pregnancy, what has been like your thought process around that? I know we both work with women who are post-pregnancy in our gym, like we were just talking about. So, but what are some things that you're starting to prepare post-pregnancy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think going in with a training schedule. So for me, getting back into exercise is going to be really important because that's what helps me like with my overall like mental health. And I know that once I have the baby, I am going to need that like time for myself to take care of myself. But right now I'm just trying to figure out like how I want to start that process, not knowing how my labor is going to go.
Yeah.
But if that means that I go on walks for 3 months after giving birth and then I can get back into the gym, that's great. If I feel good after 6 weeks and I'm approved to go back, cool, I'm going to go back, but I'm going to take it really easy.
Yes.
It's really just, again, going in with like low expectations and just kind of taking it day by day because I've never been postpartum before. And I've seen a lot of women come in and out with different experiences. We had one mom that came back, I think 5 weeks postpartum and didn't even seem like she had a baby. And then we had other moms that had to take
6 months.
6 months off.
Yeah.
So again, it's just keeping expectations low, but knowing that like the ultimate goal is to get back to training as normal.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoy, or as a woman, like the experience, each one is so individual and it doesn't have to look like one or the other. And so I think that's where comparison can come in of like, well, I should be back in the shoulds, you know, like I should be back in the gym after this time, and realizing like everybody's going to be so different post-pregnancy. And then how do we help women listen to their bodies as they're back here in the gym? Because it can be really intimidating, I think, especially if you have like your numbers of where you were at of like, I could lift this before I was pregnant, or even during pregnant, I could do this. And then now I feel like I've lost all my muscle or all of that, and just helping women be like, you're doing great. You will gain your strength. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself and don't push it too hard. Because I think that's where my biggest thing when post-pregnant women are in our classes is I'm just like, I want you to listen to your body because we don't want you injured.
Yeah.
Like we just want you to feel strong, and you will get strong as you're consistently just little by little building. And you might show up only once a week. You might show up twice a week. That's a win. You know, like you're taking care of a human and also yourself and your family and maybe working. Like there's so many other factors that you have to juggle on top of taking care of yourself and coming to the gym.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's been really cool. I'm so like, it makes me really proud of the women that do come back after postpartum, just because it just goes to show that like you're not in this phase of life forever, and it's gonna ebb and flow of when you're feeling good and when you're not. And so it's been cool seeing a lot of them be able to come back and just slowly start to get back to their normal selves again. Yeah. Well, I want to end with this too, because I keep seeing this everywhere of like, after you, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but after a flamingo gives birth, so like a mom flamingo gives birth, she turns white. So she's not pink anymore. But then as time goes on, after they give birth and they kind of get back to their normal selves, their pink comes back. So there's this saying of women like getting their pink back postpartum.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, which I'm like obsessed with. I think it's so cute. But I see that in our moms that slowly start to come back to the gym, and now you get this time back to yourself, and just to kind of like be yourself again.
I love that.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yes. So cheers to all of our moms out there that are listening. You know, we're proud of you. You're going to do amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I think that was good.
Thanks for listening to me yap today about pregnancy.
I loved it. I love the process. And it's always nice probably because you maybe haven't gotten to put into words all that you've been experiencing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's been a lot of changes.
Good.
Yeah.
This is good. You've learned a lot too along the way. You probably don't even know how much you've learned. You've just been like intaking all of it. So thanks for sharing.
Of course. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Human podcast. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Stay happy, stay healthy.